chosen one. God did not place this here by accident. And the moment you stopped that pause, that pull, that small choosing of this over the noise that was not your thumb making a decision, that was your spirit, recognizing something that had been prepared for it. I know what you are carrying. Not in the general way that words of encouragement are supposed to feel general, but specifically, the quiet weight of a season that has gone longer than you planned, the prayers that felt like they dissolved before they reached anything, the grief of believing you were made for something more, and watching that belief get harder to hold the longer the silence goes on. That grief is real, and God has seen every single day of it. He has not been absent, He has been building. But here is what I need you to understand before we go any further, and this is the part that most people never let themselves receive. God did not place this in front of you because you finally did something worthy. He placed it here because you are finally ready to know who you have been all along, not who you are trying to become, who you already are. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is going to reframe everything you have been through, and it is going to do it with something that is more than encouragement. It is going to do it with truth. Before we go further, I want to ask something of you, not physically, just in your spirit. Let the noise around you become background, not silence, just background. Because what is in this message was not prepared for a crowd. It was prepared for you, the one who stopped, the one whose spirit moved before the mind caught up. You may have been in moments like this before. You may have felt the warmth and then watched it fade when the day started moving again. I understand that. And I am not asking you to force anything open. I am only asking you to stay. Because something is different about today, and some part of you already knows that otherwise you would not still be here. Before I show you what I came here to show you, I want to tell you what this message holds for those who stay until the end. I am going to name who you are, not in a general way, but with the specific words that match the specific assignment your hidden season has been building toward. I am going to show you what the signs you have been noticing actually mean. And I am going to speak something over your life in the closing of this message that I believe you will carry long after this moment ends. What you came here for is in this message. Stay for all of it. Now, let me tell you about the signs. There is a name for God in the ancient Hebrew scriptures that is linked to a very specific word. The word is Ra. It does not mean a casual glance. It does not mean a passing awareness. Ra is a sustained gaze, a deliberate, chosen act of seeing and continuing to see. When the ancient text says that God sees you, that word is Ra. He is not glancing at you between other responsibilities. He is fixed on you. He has been watching every single day of this season with the full weight of his attention on your life. And because he has been watching, he has been leaving evidence. I want to name 5 things that have been happening in your life. Things you may have explained away or filed under stress or coincidence. But they are not coincidence. They are the handwriting of a God who has not looked away from you once. The first one is this. Your emotions have been rotating in ways that do not match your circumstances. One moment there is a peace you cannot source. The next moment there is a heaviness with no clear cause. And then peace again. Then something that feels like grief with no trigger you can find. You keep checking, you keep looking for what changed. Nothing changed. That is exactly the point. This is not instability. This is your spirit processing what your mind has not yet caught up to. A shift is happening in the unseen part of your life, and your spirit is registering it before your circumstances have moved to reflect it. The second thing, your tolerance has changed. Things that used to be fine now drain you completely. Conversations you used to navigate without thinking now feel like they cost you something you cannot afford. Environments that were once comfortable have started to feel slightly wrong. Not dangerous, just wrong, like a room where the temperature is a few degrees off and you cannot get comfortable, no matter how you adjust. You keep wondering if something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Your frequency shifted, and when your frequency shifts, environments set to a lower frequency will always feel that way, like they no longer fit. That is not a problem. That is a signal. The third thing. You have been seeing the same words, the same phrases, the same numbers, showing up in different places, through different sources, at different times. A verse appears on a Monday. A stranger uses the same phrase in a conversation on a Wednesday. You open something at random on Friday, and it is there again. You notice it, and you dismiss it, because you do not want to build something out of nothing. But here is what I want you to understand. When God is trying to turn you, He does not say it once and move on. He says it through different voices, in different moments, through different doors, until you stop and receive it. These are not coincidences. These are redirects. This is what a navigation system does when you are heading away from the destination. It recalculates, and it keeps recalculating, patiently, until you hear it. The fourth thing. Your dreams have been more vivid than usual, more present, more like you were actually somewhere, rather than watching something from a distance. You wake up, and the images stay with you in a way that ordinary dreams do not. They linger into the morning, sometimes into the afternoon, and you cannot fully explain why they feel significant, but they do. In the scriptures, when a person's spirit is being activated for something larger than where they currently are, the dream life often activates first. God speaks to the resting mind before He speaks to the waking one. Ask Joseph. The entire assignment he would carry was previewed in the dream before a single external thing in his life shifted. The fifth thing. You have been carrying a feeling you do not have a precise word for. It is not quite anxiety, or not only anxiety. It is more like a low hum of preparation. A sense that you should be ready for something without knowing what that something is. Like you have been packing a bag for a journey that no one has described to you yet. You have been doing invisible work, building invisible capacity, and you have been quietly asking what any of it is for, because nothing has announced itself yet, and the waiting is starting to feel like nothing is coming. Here is what I want to say about all five of those things. What felt like anxiety was actually activation. What felt like intolerance was actually discernment. What felt like restlessness was actually preparation. What felt like disconnection was actually separation. The healthy kind, the necessary kind, the kind that happens when something in you is being set apart for something the old environment was never designed to hold. If that landed, if something in you recognized what I just described, type 444 inches, the comments. Not as a ritual, as a recognition, as your way of saying, I see it. These five things are real, but they are only the beginning of what I want to show you, because there is a reason these signs are showing up now in this season, at this specific intensity, with this kind of clarity. And that reason connects to something happening in the unseen structure of your life that most people completely miss. Why now? That is the question I want to answer next. Why this season? Why not last year, when you were asking the same prayers, carrying the same weight, wondering the same things? That answer is in the next part of this message, and it is one of the most important things I am going to say today. Why now? I left you with that question, and I want to answer it. Because there is something that does not get said often enough in conversations like this. When God is truly moving someone toward their assignment, not just encouraging them in place, but actually repositioning them, there comes a specific moment when the preparation is complete. Not when the person decides they feel ready, not when the circumstances align in a way that feels safe, when the formation is finished. Hidden seasons have a graduation point. Joseph did not leave the pit when he wanted to. He did not walk out of the prison when his faith reached a certain level. He left when the assignment was ready for him, and he was ready for the assignment. The timing had nothing to do with comfort or confidence or the absence of fear. The timing was about completion, when what God was building inside of him had finished being built. You have been asking when this ends, but that is not the question that gets answered first. The question that gets answered first is, when is this complete? Not when you are ready, not when you stop being afraid, not when you figure out the next step, when what is being built is finished. Let me take you into the story of Joseph, not as a reminder of something you already know, as a map of what has actually been happening in your life. Joseph was 17 years old when he received the first vision of his assignment. He saw it clearly. He knew it was real. And then his life fell apart in a way that seemed to completely contradict everything the vision had shown him. His brothers threw him into a pit. He was sold. He ended up in Egypt as a slave, in the household of a man named Potiphar. He worked with integrity, with faithfulness, with full excellence, and then was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Years passed. Here is what I want you to see about those years. In each stage, something specific was being built inside of him that could not have been built anywhere else. In the pit, he lost the pride of the favored son, the pride that came with the coat, with the special treatment, with the visions that made him feel elevated above his brothers. That pride could not travel into the palace. It had to be left in the pit. And the pit is the only place that could strip it. In Potiphar's house, he built something else. He built integrity that had no audience. He did excellent work when no one important was watching. He made right choices when no one was there to notice or reward them. You cannot build that kind of character in front of applause. You can only build it in the silence where no one is looking and you still choose to do what is right. In the prison, something else happened again. He used his gift, the gift of perceiving and interpreting what was hidden, not for personal advancement, but for service. He interpreted dreams for the cupbearer and the baker, knowing neither of them could do anything meaningful for him in return. He served, anyway. He gave his gift away into silence and trusted that the giving mattered. 3 stages, 3 different things being constructed inside of him at the same time. And from the outside, none of it looked like God was doing anything. It looked like delay. It looked like doors closing on top of doors. It looked like the vision had been a lie. But the palace was waiting. The assignment existed. And on a single day, in a single conversation, Joseph went from the prison to the second most powerful position in the nation. Not because he finally performed well enough, because the preparation was complete. Think about Esther, hidden in the palace, being shaped for a moment she could not yet see. When Mordecai said to her, "Who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" She had already been in preparation for years. Before that moment arrived, she was being positioned for something before the something existed. Here is what I want you to understand about your own life. The hiddenness is not abandonment. It is not punishment. It is not God turning away. It is God protecting what is being built in you from being exposed before it is strong enough to carry the weight of what it is being built for. What He builds in secret, He reveals in public. The announcement has not come yet because the construction is not finished yet. But it is close, and what I am about to show you tells you exactly how close. There is something happening in your brain during this hidden season that science can now actually measure. And I want to show you what it is, because it gives you a language for something you have been feeling but could not name. When you were a child, your brain operated at a specific frequency. Neuroscientists call it gamma. not as a metaphor or a spiritual concept, as a literal, measurable pattern of electrical activity in the brain. Children operating in gamma states learn at speeds that seem almost impossible to adults. They absorb information quickly, they connect ideas across distances, they create naturally, they move through the world with a sense of intuition and flow that adults often look back on with something like longing. Researchers at institutions like MIT and Harvard and Stanford have studied this state. What they found is that gamma is not a rare gift given to exceptional people. It is the natural operating frequency of every human being at birth. It is what your brain does before the world trains it out of doing it. And then the training begins. Around the age of 7, a process starts that researchers call the decline effect. School systems built for compliance rather than curiosity begin pulling the brain away from gamma. News cycles calibrated to anxiety, comparison environments calibrated to inadequacy, the daily pressure to perform rather than simply to be all of it, layer by layer, suppresses the frequency the brain was born to operate in. By adulthood, the gamma state most people entered life with has been significantly dimmed. But here is the part that matters specifically for you. People who came into this world with a deeper-than-average sensitivity, a stronger-than-average perception, a capacity to feel and notice and create that the people around them could not fully account for. These people began life with a gamma frequency that was already higher than average, which means when the system suppressed it, the loss was felt more acutely than most. That gap you have been living in, the gap between who you were as a child and who you feel yourself to be now, the gap between the capacity you sense is in you and what your daily life currently reflects. That gap is not a spiritual failure. It is not a lack of faith. It is not evidence that you were wrong about yourself. It is the measurable distance of a God-given frequency that the world worked very hard to dim, and it can be reclaimed. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying exactly this problem, drawing on research from some of the most credible institutions in the world. And what he built is not a program, not a course, not a practice that requires months of discipline. He compressed the technology of gamma reactivation into a 7-minute audio track. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, you listen, that is all. The technology is called brain entrainment. When the brain is given an external frequency reference that matches the gamma state, it naturally begins to align toward it. The way a string that has gone out of tune will self-correct when placed next to a tuning fork, resonating at the right pitch. You are not forcing anything. You are giving your brain the reference point it lost and letting it find its way back to what it was always built to do. Over 18,000 people have gone through this experience. What they describe on the other side of it is not a dramatic performance shift. It is something quieter and deeper. Clarity returning, intuition sharpening, the sense of flow, the sense of things aligning, the sense of being present in their own life in a way they had not felt since they were children. They describe it as coming home to a version of themselves they had forgotten existed. Dr. Lake calls it the genius song, and I am not sharing this as a commercial. I am sharing this because this is the part of your restoration that has a practical instrument, and you deserve to know it exists. For those who feel led to explore it, the information is in the pinned comment below this message. Access it through that link specifically, because there are imitations that carry the name but do not carry the technology. The original is available only through the link that is pinned. Traditional biofeedback therapy runs $300 per session. Dedicated brain entrainment equipment for home use costs upward of $7,000. Dr. Lake's original price for this work was $49. For people who found their way to this specific message, the price is $39. That $39 comes with 4 additional resources, including a children's audio track, a guided visualization for 4 areas of your life, and the book that inspired The Secret in its original and more substantive form. And it comes backed by a full money-back guarantee. No conditions, no limitations on how many times you listen before returning it. The only risk is choosing not to try. If what I described resonated in your spirit, if something in you recognized the gap and wanted to close it, this is the next practical step. Move. When you are ready, the link will be there. Let me show you where we are. You arrived here with signs you could not fully explain. Now you understand what those signs are. They are the evidence of Ra'ah, the sustained gaze of a God who has not looked away from your life for a single day of this hidden season. You have been in a hidden season. Now you understand what it has been doing, not punishing you, not forgetting you, building you. The way the pit built Joseph, the way the prison built Joseph, the way every stage of the formation was preparing him for an assignment that would have destroyed an unprepared version of him. And the frequency of who you were at birth, the God-given genius that the world tried to dim, can be reclaimed. But I have not yet shown you the most important thing, because everything we have walked through so far is leading to something. It is leading to the answer to a question you have been carrying for a long time. Not just what has been happening in your life, not just why it has been hidden, but who you are specifically, precisely, the exact identity that this entire formation has been building toward. What God has been calling you all along, and why you have not yet been able to fully receive it. That is what I want to say in the next part of this message. Before we go there, if what we have walked through today has moved something in you, let your like be your agreement. Not for me, for the chosen one, somewhere, who needs to find this message. Tonight, your like is not a button. It is a signal that sends this further into the dark, so it can find whoever is waiting for it. Stay with me. What comes next is the reason this was placed in front of you today. Remember the 5 signs we walked through at the beginning of this message. The rotating emotions, the changed tolerance, the repeating words and numbers, the vivid dreams, the sense of packing for a journey no one described. I want to show you now where those signs are pointing, because they are not just confirmation that something is shifting, they are pointing towards something specific. They are pointing toward the weight of what is being placed on you. And weight is what I want to talk about. There is something that happens in the season right before a significant shift, not the season before a small change, the season before something that will require a version of you that has not yet been fully revealed. And what happens in that season is not what most people expect. The resistance increases, not the external resistance, the internal one. The doubt that lives just beneath the surface of the faith you have been working hard to maintain. The fear that shows up exactly when the next step starts to become clear. The voice that says, "What if you are wrong about yourself? What if the vision is too big? What if you get to the edge of the breakthrough and everyone realizes you were never really built for this?" I want you to understand something about that voice. It is not the enemy. It is not a sign that you are too broken to step into what is coming. It is not evidence of weak faith. That voice is the weight of the assignment pressing into you before you even pick it up. And the weight is proportional to what is being trusted to you. Think about this. The people who have no fear at the edge of something significant are not brave. They are unaware of what they are carrying. They do not feel the weight because they do not understand the magnitude. And that absence of awareness is exactly what makes the carrying dangerous. But you feel it. You have been feeling it for a long time. And that feeling, that specific, persistent, uncomfortable awareness of the gap between where you are and where you sense you are supposed to be, that is not weakness. That is readiness. There is a more specific version of this fear that I want to name, because I think it is living in some of you right now and you have not had words for it. It is not the fear of failure. You have already survived failure. You have already been in the pit, as we talked about. Failure does not scare you the way it used to. What scares you now is different. What scares you now is success. Not because you do not want it, but because a part of you is asking, what if I finally get the breakthrough and I am not enough to carry it? What if I step into the visibility and people look closely and realize there was never as much there as I claimed? What if the version of me that the calling requires is not actually the version of me that shows up? That is a real fear. I am not dismissing it. I am not telling you to simply choose faith over it and move on. I want to sit with it for a moment because it deserves that. Here is what I know about that fear. The people who have been entrusted with assignments that outlasted their lifetimes, every single one of them felt it. Moses felt it so intensely that he spent a significant amount of time arguing with God about why the wrong person had been chosen. Esther felt it. Before she walked into the king's court, she needed 3 days of stillness, not because she doubted God, because she understood what she was about to carry. And she needed to feel the weight of it fully before she could hold it. Your fear of the assignment is not a disqualifier. It is evidence that you understand the weight. And the ones who understand the weight before they carry it are the ones who carry it well. Now, I want to talk about something more tender. Something that sits alongside the fear and makes the whole season heavier than it needs to be. Some of you are carrying guilt right now. Not the guilt of doing something wrong, the guilt of changing. The guilt of pulling away from people who have known an older version of you and do not understand why you are becoming unavailable. The guilt of protecting your energy in ways that disappoint people who depended on your old accessibility. The guilt of outgrowing conversations, outgrowing environments, outgrowing the version of yourself that used to fit comfortably into spaces that now feel wrong. You keep asking yourself whether you are being selfish, whether the distance you are creating is a spiritual failing rather than a spiritual necessity. And the people around you, some of them, are not making that question easier to answer. I want to be very clear with you. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to outgrow places. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that the old season required. You are allowed to protect what God is building in you, even when protecting it means disappointing people who expect access. You are allowed to be misunderstood by people who are not assigned to this season of your life. And you do not owe anyone an apology for becoming who you were always intended to be. The people who are meant to walk with you into the next season are still going to be there. The ones who leave, they leave because they were assigned to a previous version. Let them go with gentleness. Honor what was real in what you shared. And then walk forward, because walking forward is not betrayal. It is faithfulness to the calling. Now let me tell you about someone. I am not going to share a name, only the pattern, because the pattern is what matters. 11 months ago, this person was watching the work they had spent 7 years building begin to collapse. A project that had been confirmed, they believed, by God, cancelled. A partnership they had trusted dissolved. A vision that had been the center of their life for years, gone in the space of 30 days. And they made one decision. They decided to become completely still. No explanation to anyone, no defense, no strategy sessions, no posting, no marketing, no trying to rebuild through effort. A 40-day season of silence, nothing coming in, nothing going out. Just presence, just waiting, just the daily choice to trust the process, even while the process looked like nothing at all. On day 37, they received a message from a person they had never contacted, in a city they had never worked in. An offer, not to recover what had been lost, to step into something twice the size of what the collapse had taken, The silence had made them visible in realms they could not have manufactured access to. What they refused to force, God delivered. What they released, God returned, amplified. I share this not as a formula, not as a guarantee that your 40 days will look like theirs. I share it as evidence of a principle you need to carry into what I am about to say. Because what this person learned in those 37 days was not a strategy. It was an identity. And identity is exactly where we are going. Look at where you are right now. Look at what has happened inside of you across this message alone. You went in carrying signs you could not explain, and you are coming out knowing they were evidence of a God who has not looked away from you once. You went in carrying guilt for the changing, and you are coming out with permission to protect what is being built. You went in carrying a fear that looked like weakness, and you are coming out understanding that the fear was the weight of what you are being trusted with. You went in hidden, and you are coming out at the threshold of being revealed. There is one thing left, and it is the reason this entire message exists. Before I close this message, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe you will carry long after today. But before I do that, I need to name something specific, something that has been forming in you across the entire hidden season and across every stage of the formation we just walked through. I need to name who you are, not who you are becoming, not who you hope to be, who you have been all along, and why it has taken until this specific moment, at this specific level of formation, for the name to finally be receivable. Stay with me, we are almost there. Let me show you what has been built. Across the signs in part 1, across the Joseph story and the formation and the science in part 2, across the weight of the resistance and the guilt and the fear in part 3. All of it, every layer, was building towards something, not just building you up emotionally, actually constructing something real and permanent inside of you. And what was built has a name. Several names, actually, and I want to speak each one out loud. The first name is this: you are the seer. Not in a way that requires anything mystical or supernatural, in the most grounded, earned sense of that word. The formation you have been through has given you eyes that most people do not have. You see the pattern underneath the surface of things. You see the person underneath the behavior, the wound underneath the anger, the longing underneath the cold withdrawal. You see the purpose underneath the suffering, including your own. People can spend decades in a situation and never find that layer. You find it without being taught how. That is not a personality trait. That is something that was built into you through every season, that forced you to look beneath what was visible. And it is an assignment, not just an ability, because there are people around you who are lost in the surface of their own life, and they need someone who can see deeper. The second name, you are the voice. There are words living inside of you for feelings that other people have not been able to say out loud. The longing that sits in a room, but nobody knows what to call it, you find its language. The grief that has been circling someone for years without a name, you give it one. The hope that people have stopped letting themselves feel because they have been disappointed too many times, you make it safe to feel again. This is not a writing gift or a speaking gift in the conventional sense. It is something more specific than that. You carry the words that make people feel less alone in their experience. That is rare. And the world around you is hungry for it in a way that most people cannot articulate, but they feel it the moment you walk into a room or speak into a space. That is not performance. That is your anointing. The third name, you are the bridge. You have always been drawn to both sides of things, both worlds, both conversations, the people who seem opposite and the ideas that seem incompatible. You have never been able to commit fully to one side of the divide because you could always see what the other side was carrying that the first side needed. That pull, the one that has made you feel like you do not fully belong in any one camp, is not confusion. It is your architecture. Bridges do not live on one shore. They live in the middle, spanning the gap, holding the connection that nothing else can hold. The people and ideas and communities that should have found each other are going to find each other through you. You are the through line. You are the meeting point. The fourth name. You are the pioneer. The path you are walking has not been walked before. Not exactly. Not in the way your specific life requires it to be walked. There is no one ahead of you to tell you the terrain is safe, because the terrain was made for your particular weight, your particular set of gifts, your particular set of wounds that became wisdom. And yes, that is terrifying. Walking first always is. But you were not built to follow a road that was already paved. You were built to open the road so that everyone who comes after you has somewhere to walk. The people who will follow the path you are clearing right now, they will never see the clearing happen. They will only see the clear path and take it for granted. And that is exactly as it should be. Pioneers do not need the credit, they need the courage. And courage, unlike confidence, does not require certainty. It only requires the next step. The fifth name. You are the light bearer. Not in the sense of performance or public visibility. In the quieter, deeper sense, you carry a presence that changes the temperature of a room. Not because you are trying to, because of what the formation has put inside of you, the refinery of the hidden seasons, the weight of what you have survived, the peace that has come on the other side of things you had no business surviving. People feel it when you are nearby. They do not always know what they are feeling, but they settle a little. They breathe a little more easily. The anxiety in a space shifts when you are genuinely present in it. That is not a small thing. That is the frequency of someone who has been in the fire and come out refined rather than destroyed. And the world around you is starving for that kind of presence. You are formed, you are refined, you are commissioned. Not because I said so, because every stage of what you have walked through built exactly this. Every pit that stripped your pride, every prison that sharpened your gift, every season of hiddenness that forced your identity to root down deeper than any applause could ever reach. If you are receiving what was just spoken over you, if something in you is saying, yes, type, I am, in the comments. Not as a performance, as a claim. As the moment you stop circling your own identity and land in it. And I hear the Father saying this over you today. I did not bring you through what I brought you through to leave you here. I did not build what I built in you so that it would stay hidden forever. The season of obscurity is ending, not because you finally pushed hard enough, not because you performed well enough, not because you earned it through some accumulation of faithfulness that finally crossed a threshold. The season is ending because the preparation is complete. What I built in secret, I am releasing in public. You were made for more than you have allowed yourself to believe. And today, right now, in this moment, I am giving you permission to believe it. I want to do something with you right now. You do not need to move. You do not need to change your position. Just let your attention move inward for a moment. In your mind, I want you to imagine a hall. Not a grand public hall, a private one, quiet and still. And in this hall, standing in a long row, is every version of you that has ever made it through something. Every season that broke you and could not finish you. Every night you chose to keep going when quitting was the logical option. Every prayer spoken into silence without any visible answer. Every day of the formation. Every day of the pit. Every day of the prison. Every day you maintained integrity when no one was watching and no one would ever reward you for it. They are all there. Every single version, and they are all looking at you. The version of you standing here today, at this threshold, having walked through everything it took to arrive at this specific moment. And every single one of them is saying the same thing. This is what we were building toward. This is what the commissioned hall looks like. This is the completion, not the ending, the completion. There is a difference. An ending is when something stops. A completion is when something is finally whole enough to be given. You are being given now. Let that settle, not into your emotions, into your identity. This is not a feeling that will fade when the day starts moving again. This is a knowing, and knowing does not require the feeling to stay in order to remain true. Before we close this message, I want to give you 2 things to carry with you, not as homework, as tools that already belong to you. The first one I want to call the resonance check, and here is how it works. Before any significant decision in the season ahead, not every small choice, but the ones that carry weight, pause and ask a single question. Does this align with who I just named myself to be? Not who I used to be, not who others expect me to be. The seer, the voice, the bridge, the pioneer, the light bearer, the version of me that the formation built. If the answer is yes, move. If the answer is unclear, wait. If the answer is no, that is your discernment speaking, and it is worth listening to. The second one I want to call the stillness audit. Once a week, 15 minutes. No input, no content, no music, no conversation, no noise of any kind, just presence. And ask one question into the stillness. What is the clearest thing I already know that I have been avoiding acting on? You will have an answer within 30 seconds. Write it down if you can. Act on it before the week is out. This is not a discipline practice. This is how the navigation recalibrates. The signal that God has been sending is already in you. The stillness audit is just how you clear enough space to hear it. You are no longer lost. You are recalculating, and the recalculation is nearly complete. Let me show you the full picture before we close. You arrived here with 5 signs you could not explain, and now you know they were the sustained gaze of a God who has not looked away from your life for a single day of this season. You arrived here in a hidden season that felt like delay, and now you know it was the pit and the prison and the house of Potiphar, all at once building something in you that only the hiddenness could build. You arrived here carrying resistance and fear and guilt, and now you know. The resistance was the weight of the assignment pressing in. The fear was evidence of wisdom, and the guilt was the cost of a necessary season of separation. And you arrived here not knowing the names for what has been forming in you, and now you know. You are the seer, the voice, the bridge, the pioneer, the light bearer, the pioneer, the pioneer. Your presence here today was not random. Your stopping was not random. Your receiving what was spoken that is not random. Take a real breath now. The heaviest part is behind you. What remains is the ceiling. And I want to close this message the way it was meant to be closed, not as a performance, but as a ceremony. Something spoken over your life that goes with you. I want to begin with gratitude. Not the gratitude of relief that something hard is ending, the gratitude that can only exist after you have been through something and you can finally see what it was for. God, we thank you for the hidden season, not for the pain of it, but for what the pain could not stop from being built. We thank you for every day that made no sense and still somehow produced faithfulness. We thank you for the silence that felt like absence and turned out to be construction. We are grateful, not in spite of what we walked through, but because of what came through walking. And there is an acknowledgement that needs to be spoken. Every weight carried in silence, it was seen. Every prayer said into a room where nothing seemed to respond, it was heard. Every small choice made with integrity, when no one was watching and no one would ever know it was witnessed. Every morning you woke up and chose to stay in faith when the external evidence said there was nothing left to trust, that faithfulness was never invisible, not for a single day. It was seen, you were seen, you are seen now. And now we release. Every old identity ceiling that told you this was, as far as you go, we release it now. Every belief that the delay was punishment, that the silence was rejection, that the hiddenness meant you were forgotten, we release it now. Every guilt carried for outgrowing, for pulling away, for becoming unavailable, for protecting the building while others wanted access to it, we release it now. Every fear of being seen and found lacking, every dread of the moment the brightness arrives and someone looks closely and finds the fraud underneath, we release it now. Every comparison to other people's timelines, every moment of measuring yourself against where someone else is and deciding you are behind, we release it now. Every doubt that this is real, every doubt that this was ever for you specifically, every quiet voice that said, chosen ones are other people, that divine appointments happen to other lives, not yours, we release it now. And every old story, every version of the narrative that said you were too much or not enough or simply wrong about yourself, we release it now. Now we call forward. Come forward now, the one who sees what others cannot see. Come forward, the one who carries words for what the room cannot say. Come forward, the one who stands in the gap between worlds and holds them together. Come forward, the one who walks first so others can follow. Come forward, the one who carries the frequency of the fire survived and the peace found on the other side. Connections that are assigned to this next season move now. The right people, the right doors, the right conversations that carry the weight of what comes next align now. The God-given frequency, the gamma of the Creator, the genius placed in this one before the world tried to dim it, awaken now. Come fully online. And what is being built, guard it. Protect what is not yet ready to be seen from being exposed before its strength can hold the weight of the exposure. What God is constructing here is not for everyone to see before it is finished. Keep it covered until the season of the reveal arrives. And now, the declaration. I am the seer. I am the voice. I am the bridge. I am the pioneer. I am the light bearer. I am formed. I am refined. I am commissioned. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am not too late. I am not too small for what has been placed on me. I am exactly where the formation needed me to be, and the season of the hiding is giving way to the season of the scent. Do not say Amen yet. I want you to sit in this for a moment, not to hold on to the feeling. Feelings move, and that is fine. I want you to sit in the knowing. Let it move from the moment into the architecture of who you are. Let it settle below the emotion and into the identity, because this is not something that belongs to today. This belongs to every day that comes after today. Sit with it. It is done. It is sealed. We receive it. Amen. You are not alone in what you just walked through. Right now, in this same hour, across different languages and different time zones and different circumstances, there are chosen ones sitting in this exact same shift, the same signs, the same hidden season, the same resistance that turned out to be weight, the same fear that turned out to be wisdom, the same identity waiting to be named. You are part of something larger than your individual story, and the others who are walking this same path need to know they are not alone either. If someone came to mind while you were in this message, not a general someone, a specific one, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, Someone who has been pulling away from people without being able to explain why. Someone who has been carrying something heavy for a long time and has stopped trying to describe it to anyone. Someone whose silence has been worrying you. Someone who is asking the same questions you were asking when you found this. Share this with them, not as a recommendation, as a delivery, as the act of someone who received something and recognized it was also meant for the person beside them. Your share could be the word they have been waiting for without knowing what they were waiting for. That is not a small thing to be able to give someone. If what was spoken today moved something real in you, let your like be your agreement. Let it be the Amen you press instead of say. Someone in the dark tonight needs to find this message. Your agreement is what sends it further. And if you want to stay connected to more words prepared for this season of your life, for the season of the commissioned, the season after the hiding stay, there is more being prepared, and it will find you when you need it. Go knowing what you now know. Go carrying what was just spoken over you. Go as who you have always been, the seer, the voice, the bridge, the pioneer, the light bearer, walking out of the hiding and into the scent. The season of becoming is ending. The season of being has begun.